Learning how to animate is one of those really rewarding things you can learn to do in a 3D software like Blender. In this 3-part tutorial series, I'm going to be teaching you step by step how to recreate this cute little animation that I've made. So we're going to be starting with this one, which is part 1, where we're going to be tackling the model at a very beginner level with very basic shapes. And then in part 2, I'm going to be taking you guys through how to set up this really simple little rig that we're going to make from scratch so you can control the eyes. And hopefully this is not too complicated. I'm going to keep it super simple. And once we've done that, I'm going to also show you guys how we can add the materials and the lights and finish off in part 3 with this little simulation of love hearts here that falls on the character when he pushes this little lever here. So this is going to be something that I hope you guys are able to really enjoy. And if you guys haven't followed me on Instagram yet, you can check that out in the description below. I put a lot of cool stuff on there. And also I've got Patreon down there where you'll be able to find a lot of these assets and things that I do for these little projects, including this one right here. So if you want to learn how to do this, keep watching this little series on making your first little animation in Blender. We're going to be using Blender 2.93. So let's get started. So once you've opened up a new scene in Blender, we're going to start by just selecting all of the default objects, and we're going to hit X, and we're just going to select delete. We now have an empty scene, and we're going to add in a primitive shape to get started. So let's hit Shift A on the keyboard. We're going to go over to our mesh options at the very top, and let's go down and just select the UV sphere. So the UV sphere is going to make up the majority of this project, and we're just going to be essentially making it into a capsule, which is just kind of like an extension of the sphere. So with the sphere here active and selected, you can actually see up here in your scene collections, it should be active. We're going to hit the tab key on our keyboard to go into edit mode. And if you're not familiar with it, you can also come up here and just change it manually. So in edit mode, all of this should be active. If it's not, just hit A to select everything. And you can hit R, so R on your keyboard, and then Y, and then 90, so R, Y, 90, and hit enter. We've now rotated it 90 degrees on this Y axis right here. All right. And then what we're going to do is we're going to hit Z, and we're going to go into wireframe. Then we're going to click over here on our left, and we're going to drag, selecting only these verts here. We're going to hit X, and we're going to delete those verts. We're then going to go to our modifiers. We're going to go add modifier, add a mirror modifier. And we're going to just hit A to select all of this, and we're going to go G, X, and we're going to move it over to the side just a bit. Enable the clipping here. And now we're going to click here and select just these verts. And we're going to go E to extrude, and we're going to go X. So E, X, and just bring them together. And because we have clipping enabled, if we move them together, they'll clip in the center here. Okay, so you can see here we have the X mirror, which is this red axis line here that's being mirrored. So now all you have to do is you have to hit A to select everything, and you can go G, X, and you can move it, and you can make this capsule however long you want it to be. So for me, I'm going to go with something roughly like this. You can always change it a little bit later on. So just something like this should be fine. And let's also go ahead and just add a subdivision surface modifier on this. And it will tab out of edit mode back into object mode. You can now hit Z and go into wireframe. At the moment, you can see we have this non-smooth shading here. So with this capsule active, we're just going to go to object mode here. And let's just enable shade smooth. So now we have a nice smooth shading style in our viewport, which looks a lot better. And before we get into the actual materials in a later part of the series, at the moment, to make it simpler, we're just going to add some placeholder materials. So with this capsule still active, we're going to go over to our materials tab. And we're going to click new and just click here, and let's name it something like skin. So I'm just going to call it skin. And I'm going to do underscore, so skin underscore 1. So skin 1. And let's just come down here to the bottom where it says viewport display. And let's just give the color whatever you want the skin to be. In my case, I'm going to go kind of with like a purplish kind of color. It doesn't really matter too much, right? But you can make it whatever. This is not going to be showing in the render. This is nothing more than a placeholder material that we can see in our viewport. We're now going to, with this capsule selected, we're going to go Shift D to duplicate it. And then we're going to go, just right click to let go. And with that new capsule, sphere.001 active, we're going to go R90 in a front orthographic view. We're going to go RY90, and we're going to hit enter. And we're going to go GZ, and we're going to move this capsule down to here, and we're going to go S to scale it. I'm going to scale it about that much. I'm going to go G, Z, and move it up into here. We're then going to go into our right orthographic view by hitting 3 on our number pad. And in our right orthographic view, we're going to go G, Y, and we're going to move it back just a bit. Go back into your front orthographic view by hitting 1 on your number pad. So now let's make the eyes. So let's go Shift A again. Let's just add in a UV sphere. And let's just give this UV sphere a subdivision surface modifier. And let's go G and just move it over to the side. Go to object mode and enable shade smooth. We're now going to tab into edit mode, and with all of this geometry active, we can go R, X, 90, and we can hit enter. And let's go to our materials. Let's click new and let's just call it I. And it should be assigned because it's the only material. And then with our vertex select option enabled here, we're going to click on the vertex in the middle here and go Control plus to grow the selection however much you want. I'm going to go about with this much. I'm going to click on a plus again, go new, and I'm going to call this pupil. And then I'm going to click assign. And at the moment you don't see it, but if you come here to the viewport display, if you make that a darker color or a different color, you can see it's now standing out. So tab out of edit mode, go into your front orthographic view and then go G and just move it about here, and then go S to scale it down a bit. And you can go G, Y, and move it forward onto Y. If it's easier, you can go to the side, then hit G, Y, and move it. But we only want something that looks roughly like that, or maybe even a little bit more out. Just mess around with it till you get something that works for you, but something like that looks okay. In fact, because we're going to be seeing it from the front, you can really push it forward quite a bit. So that looks okay for now. Now that you have it positioned, you can just go back to your modifiers. And we already gave it a subdiv modifier, but let's go and add a mirror modifier. And click on the little eyedropper. And to use a reference point, we're going to click on this original capsule that we made. So just click on that. And you can now see it says sphere over here. You can name these things to like head, body, eyes, whatever you want, but I'm just going to leave it as it is. So now we got the eyes, and to make the eyelids, it's super easy. We're just going to select the eye, go into edit mode, hit A to select everything. Shift D to duplicate, and then go Alt S to scale this new geometry out just a bit. And if it's still active, you're going to hit P, and you can go separate selection. Tab out of edit mode, and now we got this another object called sphere 003. So you can select it here, sphere.003. It's this outer part. Go to the materials tab and get rid of those two materials. Come to the drop down and give it that skin one material. Then tab into edit mode. And what you're going to do now is go into your right orthographic view, hit Z, go into wireframe, click here and just drag to select all of these bottom verts, then hit X and delete verts. Now you've got this semi-sphere here. And what you can do is you can go to your modifiers, and let's give that a solidify modifier. Drag the solidify all the way to the top, and then increase that thickness a little bit. And you can also hit A to select everything. In edit mode, you can go Alt S, and just bring it back into the eye just a little bit to make it hug. So now we have this thing here with all of that geometry active. You can also in edit mode go RZ90 if you want and hit enter, and then it kind of takes that funny shading towards the end, but that's optional, you don't have to do that. Tab out of edit mode, then go to your right orthographic view, and with this now in object mode, you're going to go R and just rotate it however you like, and then go Shift D to duplicate. Right click and then go R and just rotate it like this. This is completely up to you. It's completely your personal taste. You can hold in Shift and select both of these at the same time, and you can go R, Z and rotate them on the Z like this. Just be as creative as you want. It's completely up to you how you want to go about working with this. You can select the eye as well and rotate all of that, but just take your time. Figure out how you want to do this. And maybe I'll just select the eye and the lids again and just go G, Y. I'm just moving forward just a little bit. So yeah, you can select them separately, rotate them, just try different things. So I'm going to go with something like that. Looks pretty cute, but don't overdo it. That should be fine. We're now just going to hit A in object mode to select everything. We're going to go G, and we're going to go Z and just move it up till the bottom of the body is sitting about there on the floor. Don't overdo it, it doesn't have to be perfect. Then we're going to go Shift A, we're just going to add in a cube. And with this cube active, we're going to go G in our front view and just move it up to where the ear is. Go to the materials and let's quickly just give it that skin 1 material. S to scale it down. G to move it on top of the ear here. And then tab into edit mode. And then what you're going to do is go into wireframe. Just click and drag to select these top verts. Then you're going to go E to extrude them up. And then S, X, and scale them in on the X a bit. Then you're going to hover the cursor over this edge here and you go Control R. You're going to see the yellow line appear. You're going to click twice. And then you can go S, X, and scale on the X a bit. Now you've got the start of an ear. You're going to hit A to select everything. S, Y, and flatten it on the Y. Then you're going to go Z and then go solid. Go to your face select and then select this face. Holding and shift select these two faces as well. And then hit I to inset it. And then once you've hit I to inset it, you can go E to extrude. And then S to scale. And then you can go Control plus to grow the selection once. And then under your materials here, you're going to click on the plus under your materials tab, create a new material, go new, and let's call this skin underscore 2. So this is skin 2. And we're going to go assign. Let's go to the viewport and let's make it a pinkish kind of color. Then we're going to tab out of edit mode and let's go to our modifiers. Let's give this a subdivision surface modifier. Bump the levels up to 2. Go to object mode and enable shade smooth. And let's also go and give it a mirror modifier. And then we're going to click on the eyedropper here. And once again, make sure to select that capsule, the original head capsule. And now you can go into object mode. You can hit R to rotate, S to scale, and you can make the ears however you want. Make it completely yours, the way you feel fit. So that looks pretty cute. I'm going to leave it at that for now. We can always adjust it later. So let's get into making some more features that are super simple. So we're just going to, for now, select the capsule body here. I'm just going to hit Control A and I'm going to just go apply rotation. And because we've rotated in our world view, it's changed the orientation the modifier is referencing. So all we need to do is just simply go to our, once we've applied it, go over here to our mirror and just change it to the Z and untick the X. Now that's correct. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go Shift D to duplicate this, move it over to the side. I'm going to come to the drop down and apply it on the mirror only. Then we're going to tab into edit mode. We're going to hit Z, go into wireframe, and we're going to select the vertex select option. Click over here and just drag and just select these top verts. Then go G, Z, and just move it up like that. And then we're going to tab out of edit mode. We're going to go to our right orthographic view. You can go back into solid view by hitting Z and clicking on solid. And then in your right orthographic view, you can go R -90 and hit enter. And then S to scale. And this is completely up to you. You can make the legs whatever scale you want. But I'm going to hit Control 7 or Command 7 to go into my bottom orthographic view. And I'm going to just go G and move it here. And then R to rotate it. This is completely up to you how you want to do this. Go back into your right view. G, Z, just move it down. We're just trying to make this really simple, primitive looking leg. Once you're happy with it, just select it, and on top of the subdiv, just go add a mirror, click on the eyedropper, and this time you're going to select the body capsule, like that. And you can come now and just grab it, move it around, make it whatever you want it to be. So I'm just keeping this super primitive and basic like that. Pretty cute. So now we can add some more features like a little nose. So all you have to do is go Shift A, add in a cube, and just give that a subdivision surface modifier. Bump the viewport levels up to 3 and the render up to 3. Go to the materials and go to the drop down and give it the skin 2 placeholder material. Go to object mode and enable shade smooth. Then tab into edit mode. In wireframe, select these 4 top verts. Then go S, X to scale along the X. And then E, Z to extrude up on the Z, and then S, X to scale in. Select these bottom verts and then go S, X and flatten them. So just a shape like this. A to select everything, then go S, Y and flatten it on the Y. Just a bit and then tab out. Now you can hit S to scale it. Go into your right orthographic view and then go G and just move it forward. Go into the front orthographic view and just move it forward to about here. Once it's roughly in place, you can go R, X, and just rotate it a bit on the X to make it match this plane here, or this curvature. So now we've got a little nose or a little mouth, whatever you want to interpret that as. So I'm just going to put it right there. And that just makes it look super cute. And it's just one little abstract feature like that that just adds a lot to it. You can also grab this guy here and just go Shift D to duplicate it. This is optional, but you can bring it down here and just rotate it and scale it like this, and then just move it in place. And you can make 3 of these and then go Shift D to duplicate it, rotate it, Shift D to duplicate and rotate it, just to make these little paws. And go to your bottom orthographic view if it helps. You don't have to do this part, it's just an extra little detail. This will still look good without this, but I prefer just to add this as a little extra detail. And then once you're happy, just hold in Shift and select all of them, like so all 3 of these are active, and then go Control J to join them. Go to your mirror, add a mirror under the modifiers. Oops, a mirror modifier. Click on the eyedropper and select the body. And now I've got it on that side as well. So now the next part is just going to be modeling the arms. And that should be pretty much, oh yeah, the arms and the tail. And that's going to be pretty much this little character done. And then we can get on to modeling the little box next to him. Actually, now that I think about it, let's model the little box first. That'll give us a reference point for where we want to put the arms. So let's go and hit Shift A, just add in a simple box. Tab into edit mode, and then hit Z, go into wireframe, and just click here and drag and select the bottom verts of the box. Then go G, Z, hold in Control, and it'll snap in increments. We're going to snap it to the floor, or where this red axis line is. So just like that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come over here to our face select option. We're going to select the top face, and we're going to go E to extrude and S to scale. You can also hit I just to insert it, same thing pretty much. So we're going to extrude it to about here, and then we're going to go E to extrude. We're going to extrude it up, and then S to scale. And at this point we can tab out of edit mode, and we can go G, X, and just move it over to the side, and then S to scale it down about this much, should be fine. And then we're going to tab back into edit mode. You can go back into solid view if you want, and then with this face still active, we're going to hit I to insert it, and then we're going to go E to extrude and Z and just extrude it down. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go and hit A to select everything, and we're going to go and hit Control. In fact, let's just select the corners first. We're going to select this corner here, holding and Shift select this one, and this one. In fact, just go to face select, hold and Shift, and select all of these side panels like this. Then you're going to hit Control B to bevel it. So Control B, and then roll the middle mouse button, just give it a bevel like that. And then we're going to go to our modifiers here. We're going to give it a subdivision surface modifier. And then we're going to go back to our edge select mode here. And we're going to hold and Shift and just select all of these edges here, like so. At the top, all of these edges, and then you can go Control B to give them a bevel, give them a slight bevel, like that. And you can also just select these edges over here. If I just turn the cage on, you can see here, just these edges. And if you want, you can go Control B and just give them a slight bevel. And now you can come here to your subdivision levels and bump it up to 3 in both the render and the viewport. Then tab out of edit mode, and now you've got this box here. Go to object mode and enable shade smooth, or do object settings here. Now you have this nice little box. It can be even more basic than this, it really can. Let's just go to our materials, just click new, and let's just give it a material and call it box. Once again, it's just a placeholder. We're going to get to the materials in another video. And I'm just going to give it this kind of orangey color. You can make it whatever you want. And then I'm going to tab back into edit mode. Go to the edge select, and I'm going to deselect everything. Then if you go Shift Alt, you can just click on this edge here, and it'll loop select this edge. And then you can go Shift D to duplicate it. And then you can go E, Z, and extrude it up on a Z. Control L to select all of this. Once you have any part of it selected, just hit Control L. And then you can go E to extrude. And then Alt S, and you're going to scale it out along the normals. Then while that is still active, you can hit Control L just to select the whole thing. Go to your materials tab, click plus, new, and assign. And let's just call this box 2. and this comes with a viewport, and just so we can see it's a different color, let's make it red. And then go G, Z, and just move that part down to here, and then S to scale it in a bit. Tab out, and now you have that box fully done. This is a little decorative feature. Now we're going to add in the joystick. So this is about the scale we want it at. Right, something like this, maybe even just a tad bit smaller. So just round about there, should be fine. And then we're going to go Shift A, we're going to add in a cylinder. And we're going to go G, and we're going to move it over to here. We're going to go S to scale it down. Doesn't have to be perfect, but just something like this. And then G, bring it down. And then you can go hit 7 to go to your top orthographic view, and then hit Z and go into wireframe. And then you can just try and line that up roughly in the middle of this hole here, as you can see. So it just needs to be kind of in the middle there. It doesn't have to be perfect. Then tab into edit mode, and just go to your vertex select option, click and drag just to select those top verts. Then go G, Z, and just move them all the way to the top. It is important though, that if you go into object mode and you go and you look down here, you can see this little orange dot. In fact, if you don't see it, make sure you come up here and origins is enabled. And that origin point is where it's going to be rotating around. So make sure the origin point sits at the bottom. And then in edit mode, you can make the stick as long as you want by moving those verts on the Z axis. So I'm going to go up to about here. Then once I'm happy, and I have those active, I'm going to go Shift S, and I'm going to go cursor to selected. So it's going to put the cursor right there. And in edit mode, I'm going to go Shift A and add in a UV sphere. And then I'm going to go S to scale it down to whatever size I want. So something like that should be fine. And then I'm going to go Shift S, and I'm just going to go cursor to world origin again. Tab out of edit mode, and now we have the stick. And if I hit R to rotate it, you can see it's rotating. So that's really cool. So we're going to be animating this guy later on, but don't worry too much about that now. Let's just quickly go to our materials. Just give it a new material. I'm just going to call it stick. I'm going to make it blue for now. Then I'm going to tab into edit mode, and with this ball active, I'm going to get plus, new, and I'm just going to call this ball. And I'm just going to go assign, and we're going to make this in the viewport a green material. Tab out of edit mode, and then go to object mode and enable shade smooth to give that smooth shading. So now we have that out of the way, and you can edit this ball size at any time, and you can come in here and just select the whole thing and move it around like that as well. Whatever works for you. Okay, so just take your time with that. So for now, let's get into making the arms. So the arms is essentially just going to be a duplication of the legs here. So if we go hit Control 7 to go to our bottom orthographic view, we're going to Shift D, duplicate this, move it over to the side, and we're going to go R to rotate it, just to straighten it out like this, roughly lining up with this red axis line. Then we're going to go to our front orthographic view, and we're going to go G and just move it in here, S to scale it a bit. So this is completely up to you, but now you can tab into edit mode and just select these verts and go G, X, and make the arms as long as you need to make them. So I'm going to make mine, let's see, about G, X. Let's go about that much. That's all that's needed. And then you can come in here and go Control R, hover over this edge and go Control R. You're going to see a yellow line appear. Then roll your middle mouse button to add in some more segments, about this many, and then click twice. Deselect. And now you can just come Shift Alt and click on this edge here to loop select it. Enable your proportional editing, and then you can go Alt S and scale out along the normals. And you can roll your middle mouse button to control the proportional fall off. So I'm going to go and just give it a little bit of a feature like that, and then disable proportional editing. Tab out of edit mode, and we have these arms. I'm now going to go to my modifiers, and I'm just going to come to the mirror and apply it. And then I'm going to tab into edit mode. I'm going to hit A to select everything. It's now one object. Then I'm going to hit P, and I'm going to go separate by loose parts. Then I'm going to tab out of edit mode, and I'm going to select this new arm. It's now its own object, and I'm going to hit F3, and I'm going to go set. I'm going to type in set origin. So type in set origin, and then go origin to geometry. Okay, so now that's origin point is a little bit more central there. Don't worry about this arm. All you have to do with this arm is go into edit mode, enable proportional editing, select verts, and just rotate them. This is something that's completely up to you. So you can just hit G to move it around, R to rotate, just create kind of like a dynamic look to the arm here. So this is something that's very much up to you how you want to do it. So I'm not going to go too much into how you should set that up. You can just make it look like it's hanging. You can keep it as it is. You can rotate it more. Just make it look like a dynamic looking arm that's just off to the side. It doesn't really matter. It's just going to be standing there anyway, so it's not important. The only thing we're going to be rigging on the body is going to be this arm here, which we're going to animate. So, and also the eyes and just the head tilting. But that's going to be in part 2, where we're going to tackle the rigging and the animation. So, but for now, we pretty much have our character done and dusted as far as the modeling goes. We might add in a floor later on, but this part is pretty much done. So I'm going to see you guys in part 2, where we're going to tackle making the rig and doing the animation, and then hopefully we'll get to part 3, where we'll tackle the lighting and the final render of this little animation. Thank you for watching.